Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got writer-director Molly McGlynn with me. So welcome, Molly.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm pretty excited to talk with you. I didn't realize it, but you've directed on a lot of shows that I love. I think the newest one was probably Animal Control.
You did, yeah, that's a super fun show.
Yeah, it's surprising. Like I heard the premise, and I was like, that does not sound good to me. But then I watched it, and like immediately, first episode, I was like, that's a good show. And it's our favorite comedies right now.
Yeah, it's nice to have like a low stakes comedy, like sometimes it's like you just kind of want something that feels comforting to watch, and that show certainly has it.
We watch it, it's like a before bed show.
Yeah, definitely.
You laugh a little bit before you go to bed, and then you sleep okay. We don't tend to watch dramas and stuff right before bed.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But there's, we're and you probably know better than I do, but it seems to me like we're kind of losing the network comedies. We don't have as many as we used to.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's they're kind of becoming few and far between, and especially successful ones too.
Well, it's tough, and I know you did a lot of work with Bless This Mess, which was one of our favorite shows. It just killed us when it didn't get renewed, but we got close with a lot of the cast. So we've had JT on the show, and Belle, and Ed's been on, and
nice.
O'Hara been on. So Phil Morris, I think, guest starred on the show. We've had him on, so we got kind of friendly with the cast. So we were very disappointed when it didn't come back for at least one more season.
I know, it was a really phenomenal cast.
Yeah, it really was, and really well casted.
Yeah, and Pam Grier too. What a legend.
Gosh. that was pretty awesome seeing her back on TV.
And she is just the coolest, nicest human alive. I just such an icon to be that kind, and just really makes you fall in love with her.
I mean, she's been doing this for what, 50 years?
Yeah.
Which amazes me, because you look at her and it doesn't look like she's old enough to have been acting as long as she has, but she's been doing it.
No, she's gorgeous. But the story she would tell me before, we would shoot a scene, it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to hear this.
Yeah. Well, you produced a little on that show, right?
I was a producing director, so I directed a chunk of season 2, and then it was kind of overseeing the look of the show, and would be around when other directors would come through. And
producing director sounds harder than regular director.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a weird role where there's maybe different duties on every show, but it was an incredible learning opportunity, especially to see other directors work as well, because as a director, you don't really get to see how other people work.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true. So I guess in that capacity, maybe a good thing. You get to see some of that.
For sure. What works, what doesn't, just different vibes and energies on set. Really cool.
Well, when you were became attached to that show, did you go in as a producing director, or did that just kind of develop?
No, I actually did one episode of season 1, and I remember Dak Shepard and I were chatting, and we got along, and he was like, would you ever want to like be a producing director? And I was like, no, what's that? And he was like, you just kind of, you're on set more, and I guess you make more money. And I was like, sounds good.
Yeah. I'll
So
take it.
yeah, I was like, I'm interested. So I didn't even really know what the job was. And then I was lucky enough to be offered that season 2.
Yeah. It's it's rare when you get a comedy with established stars like that. They've been at it for a little while. That really works. That's not easy to do, but it really did. And Dax is terrific on it. He's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. And like he directs as well. And like obviously Lake co-created it, and she's a director too. So like she really set the look of the show. So I mean, your job's kind of easy when you're working with people like Dax, or Ed Begley Jr. is like couldn't be more of a gentleman. Like, yeah,
It's one of my favorite interviews, because in the middle of the interview, you could see the lights dimming in his house, and he's like, hold on for a second, and he goes off screen, and I guess he's cranking something up or something.
Probably some sort of solar.
Yeah, he came back in, it was lit up again.
Yeah, no, I would say he is top 3 just people I've ever worked with, like a true gentleman. It's like he feels like they don't make people like you anymore.
I know. We're kind of missing some of that, because he's just a good guy. Professional and just a nice person. Plus, he probably does as much as anybody else as far as saving the planet goes.
Unbelievable. I mean, he can show you, like, basically can fit a week's amount of his trash in like the glove compartment of his car. Like, he's incredible. If we all lived like him, the planet would be fine.
Yeah, I know. We just need to follow Ed.
I know.
So, okay, Molly, I got us a little off track. So let me back us up.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what got you into the entertainment business. That's not an easy profession. So kind of how did you get into it?
So I was always creative growing up, and was always drawn to the arts. I thought I wanted to be an actress for a while, but then realized I had horrible stage fright. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have to scrap that. And then I did end up studying film in college and like majoring in art history, but it took me like a few years after graduating college to start making short films and like get the confidence to direct. I'd always seen myself as a writer, and just started directing stuff as kind of a means to an end, and then I A fell in love with it, and B kept, luckily and very gratefully, getting opportunities, so you kind of just have to go with what the universe is giving you. But it's funny because I didn't necessarily start in comedy, but my first episode of TV was Working Moms, a half-hour comedy, and then it just sort of snowballed. But it's funny because like some of my earlier shorts, I feel like were more dramatic, and with my own films that I write and direct, it's sort of like drama comedy, like dark humor. But it's not like the half-hour network comedy, which I've done a lot of. So it's definitely a different style. But comedy's hard, like to do comedy well. But
there's a rhythm to it. It's kind of like music. I mean, it's not just acting. You got to make sure you're hitting the joke at the right moments.
Yeah, and so much of it is just sort of taste and what's funny. So like, when I go onto shows as a guest director, it's like my job to execute it, whether or not it's my exact sense of comedy or not, but how to achieve that. And like, I'm sure you've heard this, but so much of comedy is in the edit. It's like so crucial to, how you land a joke, cutaways, all of that. Like sometimes the reaction shot is the best out to a scene, not the line. But there's so much tragedy in good comedy too. So the drama is always kind of there.
Yeah. I know really good
But
comedy usually has something in it that makes you a little, it makes you cringe a little bit.
absolutely, because there's truth in it,
Yeah.
those really like cringy things of like, oh my God, should I laugh at this? Or I can't believe I'm laughing at this. Like, yeah, there can be truths that, we can only really acknowledge or entertain in comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's not a terrible way to kind of make your living directing, because if you can direct comedy, you can probably direct anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you know, like good comic performers, I always want to cast them in dramatic roles. Like to me that's an easy jump, but I don't think all dramatic actors can nail comedy. Like people who are good at comedy, like I think just can do everything.
Well, I kind of figured that out when Robin Williams started doing drama. You know, nobody
Yeah.
expected him to be able to do dramatic work, and he was a terrific dramatic actor.
I just rewatched Good Will Hunting a few weeks ago,
Oh,
and like every time, like just every scene he's in, I was in tears, and a lot of it apparently was ad-libbed as well. Like, there's a scene when he's getting to know Will Hunting and he's talking about his wife who farts in bed at night, and like he just starts laughing. But in the reaction shot of Matt Damon, he's like crying laughing, and apparently it was all ad-libbed. So like Robin was just
well, I
go
totally
riffing,
believe that.
and um God, what a loss that man is. His daughter Zelda Williams did that movie Lisa Frankenstein this year, which I thought was
Oh,
great and
that
so
I
fun.
did- I saw that had come out. I didn't realize that was her.
Yeah, it was her feature directorial debut. It's great.
Time is moving too fast.
I know, I know.
My favorite Robin Williams story, it's a real quick one, was there was a gentleman that I'd had on the show a few years ago, but there was at one point he was homeless and he just wandered into an acting workshop. I guess to get out of the heat or whatever, but they and he just kind of sat down and they invited him in, and he was pretty nervous about it. He hadn't done anything in front of anybody, had never acted, and so he was just kind of sitting in the audience observing, and a guy came and sat next to him, and it was Robin Williams, and he
Oh
was just
wow.
passing by and saw that there was an acting thing going on, just dropped in, and so he's sitting next to that guy, and they kind of chatting back and forth, and the guy was telling I'm really nervous about trying this out, and he said, well, we've got some time. Let's go out to the park and we'll practice. And he went out and Robin Williams practiced with him for a couple of hours, and then he came back in and did his little
Oh,
skit. And now he's an
that is
actor.
beautiful. And what?
And now he's an actor.
That is unbelievable.
It's
It's
like,
unbelievable, and I completely believe it based on sort of anecdotes about Robin
yeah.
Williams.
I mean, he was just a great guy. He had some demons.
I know, but isn't that always the way? It's like the people who bring that so much light, like there is often a darkness that's there that offsets it.
I know. It's really a good cautionary tale for the rest of us, because you need to look past that. A lot of times people are laughing to keep from crying. Maybe look a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, creative people and people who take these unusual career trajectories, like, yeah, there's often a lot of demons that come with that. I mean, Hollywood is filled with people who are addicts or recovering addicts
Yeah.
or, mental health stuff. I myself am sober now, so it's like the types of people that it draws are risk takers.
Yeah. Risk takers and people that, they've seen worse. They've seen the worst of it. And now, maybe they're a little more equipped to deal with the day to day of, acting in Hollywood and all that. Cause it's a lot, and it's mostly rejection.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like to be successful in this industry, as you said, is so painful to the ego. And like if you don't have if you're not secure foundationally in your wellness and health, like it can take you down.
Yeah.
Um and it takes down a lot of
A
people. I
lot of
mean,
people.
it's just, it's not a natural way to live. And I'm not an actor, but just imagining like so much of your value or worth is on other people's approval of you,
Yeah.
which is just like, what a terrible way to operate.
When you really think about it, it kind of is. That's the system, but that's kind of a rough way to operate.
And we love to put people on pedestals just to knock them down. Like we love that game, and it's sick. Like, sure, some people need to be knocked off the pedestal, but like to take pleasure in it is tough.
Well, that's one of the downsides of social media.
Yes.
It's like when Facebook first came out, it was great because we're like, you're reconnecting with people you hadn't seen in years. You're showing your pictures. It's great. And then we immediately screwed it up.
I know. I just saw a meme on Instagram before I got on this that made me laugh. And it was like a picture of like a beautiful river and gorge. And it was like, imagine humans saw this and then one day decided to make Microsoft Teams. It's like, yeah, like how do we get here? Like we have all this amazing stuff.
Not for us.
No, let's live on tiny boxes all day.
Oh my gosh. And I'm just as bad. I'm
Me too.
on my phone all the time. And if I'm not on my phone, it's probably a computer. So
I know. Yep.
I don't know how you do it without it though. I know some people do, but it's difficult.
Yeah. I did a silent retreat for a couple days earlier in the year. No phones, no books, no talking.
My wife would love that. Oh, well, you didn't get to talk?
No, you can't talk to anyone. And it was 4 days, 3 nights, I think. But oh my God, do you realize how addicted you are to distraction devices? Like I was like, I paid money to put myself in a prison of hell, which is my own brain. However, pushing past that point, like the clarity I felt getting back into the car after, I needed Google Maps to drive back to LA. I didn't want to touch my phone. So I just drove around for a couple hours, found a random town. Yeah, and I was terrified to get back. It was like, oh, I'm taking the hit of the drug again, and I bought a flip phone on Best Buy. I was like, I'm using a flip phone now. I'm not using my iPhone. By the time that flip phone came, I was back on the phone again.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's and the funny part is I didn't grow up with any of that. We didn't have any of that when I was growing up. We had to stop at a payphone if we wanted to call somebody, and we were fine. We got by just fine. But now, where everybody's using it, if you're not using it, you're probably missing out on something, or it's making it much more difficult to work.
It's just the irony that we're more connected than ever, and I would say more lonely and disconnected.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, okay, it's a device and an opportunity for connection and to understand people, and it's like, no,
like, not doing that.
When you think about like, if instead of writing a nasty comment, if you put 25 cents in, dialed their number on a payphone, and was like, hey, whatever you post on social media, like most people, you just wouldn't.
Well, no, you wouldn't. That's part of the problem is you're shielded. So you feel comfortable saying anything you want to because you're not face to face with somebody, or at least, talking on a phone directly. Nobody talks on a phone anymore.
I know. I hate talking on the phone.
We all do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's terrifying when the phone rings and like, it's just, oh God. Yeah.
You're like, what do you want? You don't even know who it is.
It feels like bad news. Like anybody who's calling it can't be good.
I was like, well, yeah, because I was like, you always think, why didn't they text?
Yeah, text me and say, can I call you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even that can be ominous.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
Nothing's worse than, hey, can we chat? You're just like, about what?
About what?
Your whole day is ruined if you don't know about what you're chatting about.
Yeah, what'd I mess up?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so what did you do at the retreat? If you didn't have, could you read? What did you do?
You were allowed to read if it was related to meditation or spirituality. You could journal. And
journaling, maybe. That'd take up a little time.
Yeah, I found some colored pencils in my bag, and it was like I just found a PlayStation. I was like, "Oh my god, I've got markers, like, I can draw a picture." Like, I was like, "Oh my gosh." And there was, like, a few talks you can go to. So, like, the meditation leaders would give you a talk or whatever.
If I
But it
could
was just
read, like if I could read anything I wanted to book wise, then I'd probably be okay. I think I'd have
yeah.
trouble if I could only read about meditating. I think I'd have trouble with
I know, I know. Yeah, you need a break for sure. But it was kind of interesting because the first day, like everyone comes in and everyone's just so nervous and awkward and, you know, doesn't know what to be doing with themselves. And like 24 hours later, the same kind of stuffy business guy is on a yoga mat, just like crying his eyes out, and it's totally fine. And it's like, okay. It was just amazing. Like there was nothing weird about it. Like, and it really brings out, I think, a lot of unexpected emotions in
it.
people, and it just didn't feel weird at all.
Yeah, it sounds weird.
It does sound really weird. It sounds very LA, like woo woo, like, you know, to think about my Irish grandparents, like working their, like, you know, my grandfather worked at a shoe factory. One day he'd have a granddaughter who was living in LA paying money to shut the F up.
Yeah, for not even for a little bit of time, for a while.
I know, I know. It's all wild.
So you got a new movie coming out,
Hmm.
filling in,
Fitting in, yeah.
fitting in. So let's talk a little bit about that. So what's the movie about? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, movie's called Fitting In. So it was out in North America in February, and it's doing a UK and Ireland release in September. Um, it's basically like an emotional traumedy, loosely based on my experience being diagnosed with MRKH syndrome when I was 16.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and this sounds like that does not sound like a fun diagnosis when you're 16 years old.
no, no, it's awful. You know, it is a disorder that affects 1 in 5,000 births, so it's actually not that uncommon, but usually it happens when a teenage girl is kind of past puberty, doesn't get her period, get a bunch of invasive tests, you know, found out I couldn't carry a child, having sex would be difficult unless there was like, you know, medical intervention and
Why is that? Why is it difficult?
So basically, the condition affects the reproductive organs, and it can be
Yeah,
all different varieties of it. But usually, it means you don't have a uterus, and your vaginal canal is either underdeveloped, not there, partially developed, X, Y, or Z. So basically, when the fetus is in utero, there's just some sort of information glitch where kind of systems get messed up, and yeah, so
yeah,
it.
that's such and most illnesses that you get like that, they're strange sounding, but
Mhm.
that sounds kind of rough. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it definitely was terrible.
I mean,
And
is it you know, forgive me for asking questions, but is it, I'm guessing that it's not real detectable unless they're looking for it when you're younger. It's just
yeah,
after, you know, you get older and you don't start your period and then they're like, well, we need to figure out why. But it
yeah.
didn't seem like there'd be a ton of tests needed to figure that out.
No, because everything externally and kind of genetically is status quo. So it's yeah, you would never really know until you're, you know, you're probably like 15, 16.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, as you said, like being a teenager is so hard. And then adding this, which it's just an emotional bomb. It complicates your relationship to sex, to motherhood, socializing with other
Yeah.
peers, relationships, dating, your relationship with your parents, like everything kind of gets turned on its head. But anyways, I wrote this was my second feature film, and I wanted to, because the topic or because the condition is very specific, I wanted to make a film that still sort of had commercial appeal and levity and humor. And that's what I did. I didn't want to make like a really like a trauma porn movie that
Right.
people would not want to watch. Like um, for me, the film is about feeling different in the world, and like that is a universal experience. And like some of the most valuable comments or feedback I've gotten from the film, well, sure, there was people who directly, have the condition or whatever, but then, it's like a guy who was like 60 and came to a festival because his wife brought him and he had no idea what he was getting into, and he was just like, wow. And he said to me, he's like, I don't think I'm the demographic for this, but he was like, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. And like, to me, that means a lot because
Yeah.
I made it for a specific group of people, and I wanted someone who had no understanding of what they were getting into to feel like they understood something universal about their identity and body. And I don't care who you are, any single person with a body at some point has Googled is blah, blah, blah normal. Or I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
you are comparing yourself in a locker room, in a dressing room,
Yeah, you're right.
In a school hallway. There has been a moment of comparison or insecurity for everybody. And this was mine, basically. So it obviously was very personal. It sort of felt like the nightmare of you have when you dream about being in high school and you're walking down the halls naked. Like that's how I felt emotionally doing this movie.
But you're kind of exposed. You're putting it out
For
there.
sure.
Yeah.
If the 16-year-old me one day knew that I would make this movie, like that would have been my nightmare at 16. And now at this age, I have engineered it for myself, which is like kind of an amazing trajectory. And
Was it cathartic to make?
absolutely. And like Maddie Ziegler played the lead. She sort of played like, I guess, the younger version of me. And she was famous at a young age from being on Dance Moms, this reality show, and you'd see in music videos. And when I met her, it was like kind of woo woo. It was just like there was a spiritual connection between the two of us. And she, although again doesn't have MRKH syndrome, she knows what it's like to feel different than other girls. She had a very unusual upbringing in front of cameras, and not having the traditional high school experience. So she has felt othered in the world for different reasons, but it doesn't matter the details around why we feel different as people. If you know what it feels like to feel other, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And I keep going back to you figured that out at 16 and how difficult a time, because that's usually like when most of us are the most awkward is right around, that age, because there's so much coming at you. And then you're dealing with something where you have to find out that, you're probably not going to be able to have children. You're going to have, there's going to be a conversation in the relationships you have at some point. You're going to have that conversation. I mean, that's a lot at 16.
Yeah, it was a lot. And like, and the film is also very much about mother-daughter relationship. And like my mom died when I was 21 of breast cancer, but she was first diagnosed when I was 13 or 14. So, she was getting a mastectomy and like going through treatment. And then I had this diagnosis. And so much of my experience growing up was kind of how women's bodies are just like a bomb waiting to go off. Like there just seemed to be so much chaos. And I wanted to show the relationship between a mom who's going through her own shit, trying to deal with a daughter who's going through her own shit. And Emily Hampshire, who was known primarily for
Emily.
Creek. Yeah, she's amazing. And she played it beautifully because I wanted to show a mom that's just had more depth and dimension, because like parents they're still going through their own lives while their kids are going through adolescence. So
that to me, the movie sounds terrific. I love the mother-daughter relationship, and I'm guessing that it wasn't all gray skies. There's probably some humor that goes with that.
Oh, for sure. As I said, because humor is an entry point for people to things that are difficult to talk about.
Yes.
And so I needed humor to be an access point, and also like that there's so much grief and loss and trauma with this condition, and I have 2 legs. I can walk around. My brain functions. Like I'm healthy, and like in the grand scheme of things, I'm still good, you know?
That's right.
So, and it's like bodies are fucking weird. But some bodies do this stuff, some bodies do that stuff. It's weird. It's insane, and we need to use some humor in talking about body parts and what they do and don't do. It's
Yeah.
like not it just kind of destigmatizing it.
I love that. I love that because it's not that dissimilar to dealing with somebody in your family maybe that has autism or something along those lines, where you don't want it to just be this this kind of pall that kind of sits on you all the time, where you're just sad and woe is me type stuff. You want to see a little bit of humor in it. I think that's healthy. And then you have to figure out how to deal with it. And at some point, then you can decide, okay, I've got my stuff figured out. Maybe I can help somebody else that's having a similar problem.
That's absolutely it. And like, we like another, it was tough sharing this movie, but after it premiered at South by Southwest last year, we were sort of leaving the theater and people had cleared out, and there was this young woman sort of hanging around, and I wasn't really sure if she was trying to say something. So I went up to her, and she had some sort of developmental disability. I'm not sure what it was. She didn't say, but she just came up to me and she was like, watching your movie made me feel like I can say that I'm beautiful. And I just started bawling, and then
Oh
she
my
was crying, and I
gosh.
just hugged her,
That
and like,
almost made me cry.
yeah, like I still get goosebumps, because to me, I was like, no matter what happens, like to know that that young woman left feeling like a little bit better about herself and felt more
Yeah.
confident, like that's my job was kind of
Yeah,
done.
you did your job.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you. Did I know you had the stage fright. Did you cameo in the movie?
No, I didn't cameo, but it's just
I
it's
figured you
just
play a doctor or something in it.
oh no, I wouldn't subject people to even my background acting artistry or lack thereof. Maybe one day, but uh, I'm much more comfortable. Like, I've talked on stage. It premiered in France at the Deauville American Film Festival. It was 1,200 French people in this gorgeous theater. They're like watching a movie like about like vaginas and uteruses translated in French. I have no idea if the humor is going to translate like it did. And I'm like doing this Q&A afterwards, and I'm like, it is wild that I'm talking to 1,200 French people about all this stuff. And it's just so freeing, because it's like, okay, this is one aspect about me, but it as you were saying, like if someone has autism, it's a person with autism. It's not an autistic person, it's
Right.
like
That's
we
right.
are more than any sort of diagnosis or label. There's a person first.
Yeah, I love that. And you did exactly, what most of us would hope to do in difficult situations. You didn't let it, beat you. I'm
Oh, it
sure it was
did.
rough at that. Well, I'm sure at the beginning it was pretty rough, but at some point you came out of that and then used it as positive. That's pretty inspirational.
Oh yeah, it definitely did beat me down. I'm not going to play too tough guy, but I surround myself with like a really solid group of
Yeah.
family and friends who are proud of me when I make a film or do X, Y, or Z, but at the end of the day, they don't care. It's like
It doesn't
they
matter.
just
It doesn't
it
matter to
doesn't
them because
matter. Like,
they just love you. So that it doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's just
like
part of you.
my best friend from childhood is, she's like a nurse in downtown Chicago, and like she's proud of me, but like she knows me beyond my work as a filmmaker, or like I call her on the way home from set and I'm like, how was work? And she'll be like, oh, there was multiple like gunshot wounds, and it's like, oh, okay, well, my day wasn't that
My
bad.
day was better.
My day, my job of being paid to make believe, for these tiny screens we all have. Like,
Right. It's not really terrible when you look at that. I say the same thing. I'm like, I'm podcasting. I'm okay.
we are okay.
My
And
worst day, I'm still okay.
absolutely. And like, it's a privilege to take up space and share our stories and our experiences in the world. And I don't want to take that for granted, because there's so many people who don't have a voice or can't get funding, or they don't have a way in. And I just, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, and I think that's a terrific way to be. Keeps you humble. You don't get too much of a big head, that type of thing. But
No, life keeps me humble.
yeah.
No issue there. It's kind of like, I heard someone say once, like, you don't believe the best thing you hear about your work, and don't believe the worst thing. And I think that's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the reality is probably somewhere in the middle, and like, you can't get too taken down by criticism. And also, like, if people are, saying you're, the gift that we all needed to cinema or whatever, it's like, I don't know if you should believe that either.
Well, maybe you're the gift to some.
If I can be a gift to an individual person I have a conversation with, like, yeah, that's more important.
That is. This movie to me seems like it could also be a TV show. Have you thought about that at some point, kind of turning it into that?
No, because I don't want to be in the world of teen emotional trauma anymore. I'm like, I said to my agents after this, I was like, give me Michael Bay. I want warehouses. I want shootouts. I want cars blowing up. Like, I was like, get me out of gynecologist's office. But it's funny, the show I'm prepping right now, there's like some car chases and just bigger set pieces. And I'm like, I'm so excited and jazzed about that, because my interest as a director goes beyond kind of personal storytelling that I've maybe have done in my own features. But
yeah,
I want to do some warehouse shootouts too,
I don't know. I'm okay with that. You said that's a TV show? Is that something we're going to see this year?
It'll be early 2025.
Okay.
It's not being it's not announced yet, but it's a new AMC Plus show with Alicia Silverstone.
I'm interested.
It's really
AMC
great.
Plus puts out good shows. They make good shows.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it, and like, to spend a couple months in Ireland, as we were saying, isn't the worst place to be.
No, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. I think I need to come visit.
Yeah. You really do.
We had planned, so 2018, we were going to bounce around Europe. Strangely enough, we got invited out there by David Schwimmer's sister.
Amazing.
She worked with my wife, which I'll tell you the very quick kind. I think it's funny. Nobody else probably does, but she came home. She said, I'm working with Ellie Schwimmer. And I was like, it's LA. I was like, is she related to David Schwimmer? I was like, everybody out there is related to somebody. And she's like, no, she's not really. I was like, oh, okay. And, over the next year or two, I'd ask her once in a while, you sure she's not? And she's like, no. Well, she eventually got invited to a party at her house, and she goes to her house and she called me, and she's like, there's pictures of David Schwimmer everywhere.
It's confirmed. You're right. That is amazing. That's
so
great.
She invited us out there. Her husband's Italian. He's an Italian actor, and they got a vineyard out there. So we were going to bounce around Europe. My wife got sick, had to have surgery. So we didn't go. Well, then my brother's living in Germany. So we replanned the trip, and we were going to go start in Germany and bounce around Europe. That was in 2020. So we didn't get to go that year either. But eventually we're going to make it.
You really, yeah. I mean, it sounds like you got to go back to that vineyard situation.
Oh, I know. That's why I told her, I was like, let's not lose that contact.
Yeah. I feel like Europe in the summer is so touristy. Go like off season, flights are cheaper. Yeah, sure, you need a jacket, but like
I'm
I
okay
feel
with
like yeah, Europe in the summer is a no.
it. Yeah, I'm all right with that. So my wife loves your first movie, Mary Goes
Mary goes
Around.
around, yeah.
Yeah, she loved that one. I usually go around to the family. I'm like, this is who I'm interviewing. What do you know him from? Well, she never knows anybody. So I started listing the stuff that you worked on. She's like, I know that movie. She's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's nice.
yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, that was 2017, tiny budget first feature, but that definitely was a launching pad for me, and I'm so lucky to have iCash.
Yeah, that was, I think she was probably doing You're the Worst back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was sort of where I fell in love with her, and
She was so
I,
good on that show. We used to love that show. And it was, they were so mean to each other.
oh my God, so dark. Yeah, but like she had a character arc one season where her character Gretchen was in a like deep depression,
Yeah, I
and
remember.
I was just like so struck by her performance, and like I don't know if I'd ever seen depression
Yeah.
done so well. And yeah, I fell in love with her, begged
Made
her to
you
come.
think she's been depressed at some point.
Yeah, yeah, just maybe. I don't know if any of us have gotten out by this point in time without being a little
No, there's
depressed, a little
absolutely.
sounds like
Absolutely.
yeah, pretty universally relatable at this point.
You worked on the Big Door Prize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We love that one. And that was, I think, from the Schitt's Creek people, if I remember right, had some connection there.
Yeah, David West Reed from Schitt's Creek, he created the Big Door Prize, and he's freaking wildly talented. I mean, yeah.
It's such a
I,
weird show. We started watching it. We're friends with Jim Meskimen, and
mm,
he was like, I'm doing this show. You're going to want to watch it. And he's like, it's kind of weird. And I was like, okay, we'll try it out. And we loved it. It's been
it
great.
is tonally so weird, but great. I'm like, it just feels different, and it's taking swings that you don't always get in
Well
shows.
casted too.
Yeah.
I don't think Apple makes a bad show.
No, I just finished Presumed Innocent. I felt like I was
Oh
late.
my gosh, that show. And I love the movie with Harrison Ford, but oh my gosh, that show. We could
Yeah.
only watch one episode at a time. It was too emotional.
Oh, it was
There's no
really
binging that one.
intense. Like I was kind of shook after the finale. I was like, I need to go for a walk or something. Like I'm shook.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was intense,
Yeah.
but good. It's pretty good. We
Mm-hmm.
watched that one and Palm Royale. We like that one too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that one was pretty good too. But we've seen we watch Apple quite a bit because we haven't found a bad one yet. It's like everything we pick has been great.
The one I have up next is Sugar, the Colin
Oh, I
Farrell.
want to watch that one too. Shoot, who's the gentleman in it?
It's Colin Farrell.
Oh, Colin Farrell. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that the DP I'm working with in Ireland recommended it to me, so I'm excited to check that out.
I talked to somebody from that show, and I was trying to remember who that was. One of his co-stars we've had
Okay.
at some point, but that's on my list. You know
Yeah.
how that goes. I mean, it's terrific because there's so much out there to watch that's good, good quality stuff. But there's so much out there to watch. You can't watch everything.
I know, I kind of just like I go off of recommendations. Like I can't sit there and scroll because it's
Right.
just like you end up watching nothing and wasting half an hour. Like
Yeah. You
I
missed
wait
your
till
shot to watch something.
yes, exactly. But like I just need someone to tell me what to watch and go seek it out. And then it's like, is it on this streamer or this streamer? It's like it's so hard to even find where it is half the time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We tend to go off like we've got a family chat, and that's basically all we use it for. So when somebody watches something they like, they just throw it in the chat.
That's amazing. That's
And then
cool.
we're like, okay, there's our running list of stuff to watch.
That's cool.
I just figured out. So I'm old school in that I prefer, like I prefer to read a book, not have it on a tablet. And I still take my own notes, so I write my little, which are mostly just bullet points, so I don't get lost when I'm talking, but I'll write out the notes. Why I have terrible handwriting. That's one. But I just figured out why I said filling in instead of fitting in. I didn't cross my T's.
That could be why. Problem solved.
I was like, there you go. I was like, it does say filling in on my paper.
You got to fill in those T's.
I was like, yeah, that's no good. Okay. So when is Fitting In coming out? When can we watch it?
You can watch it now. It's on, you can get it on Amazon Prime, Apple streaming, all of those things. I also tell people it's on Canopy, which is so amazing. You can get Canopy with your library card and watch so many things for free.
I knew that. My son that does the podcast with me, does all the editing and the hard stuff. He's a children's librarian during the day, and he turned us on to that. Yeah.
I love
great.
Canopy. I love public libraries. Like, I just think they're such incredible resources. But anyways, if people want to, you can find it on Canopy, but Apple, beep, beep, bop, bop, whatever streaming thing,
it's out there.
Yeah.
My oldest turns, she's turning 30 here in a couple of weeks. But she's by herself this weekend. So she's coming over and we're going to watch the movie. That's our weekend fare. And it never ends up just being like, if we have one kid, we tend to end up with others from the family will come. So we'll end up with a group, and we can, like here in the studio, we could seat about 20. So we got plenty of room.
Okay.
We'll just see who comes. So we got, WVU plays football at noon. So we'll watch that, and then after.
Oh my God! Warning! There is some explicit scenes. They're not gratuitous, but just heads up.
I'm hoping that at this point, I know it's difficult because I still get embarrassed when I watch stuff with my parents. But she is 30; she should be okay.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Yeah. I trust your intuition on that.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be pretty great. We've dealt with different, things in our family where we've had to adjust and stuff, and we've always been able to find kind of the humor in the situation, even with the difficulty, and so I think this will be right up our alley, because it sounds like it's a serious subject, but it's not always delivering it in a serious manner.
No, it's a feel-good movie. Like, I wanted people to feel good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. See, you could have just added in a car chase or maybe a warehouse shootout scene somewhere in there. It'd have been fun.
I know. Teenage girl dealing with anger and rage. Yeah, absolutely. But that'll be the sequel.
I was telling you, I was watching my grandkids. They had a couple of the boys, and one of them always wants the other one to chase him. He just wants to be chased, which is fine.
Yeah.
Except the other one's younger and is just very aggressive. I mean, he wouldn't hurt anybody, but he's just, all the time. Yeah. So it never fails. He always wants him to chase him. He always ends up crying because it scares him too bad. Oh my God. And I'm like, what are you crying about?
That is too funny.
He's scaring me. I'm like, well, you told him to chase you.
That is amazing. That's such a classic sibling dynamic.
I'm like, okay.
that kid's probably gonna love horror movies.
Oh, no doubt. And his mother does.
Fear.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's one that he just likes being scared. He's very dramatic. He may be an actor at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because he'll just sit and like upset himself just for the cause, just to be upset for a second. But
you should get him in acting classes. Yeah. And also just to channel it, all the energy.
Yeah. Well, Molly, thank you for taking a little bit of time. I know it's getting close to bedtime out your way.
Yes, it is indeed. But yeah, happy to chat. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you'll come back. Maybe when the show gets ready to come out, you could come back and tell us about that a little bit. That would be nice. We'd like to hear about Ireland.
It should be announced, I think, in the coming weeks, so you'll maybe
Well,
I'll
it's
come
that
across.
time of year where they'll start announcing some new stuff. I used to love this time of year, when I was growing up and we only had 3 channels. You have right around this time of year, you'd start, they even used to have shows where they'd have a show about the shows coming out.
Oh my
They
God,
just
that's
show
amazing.
the like the little clips from all the new shows coming out.
Yeah, like the sneak peek.
The sneak peek. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love that. So it's always kind of a fun. Plus, I mean, it's a little different now because we've got so much to watch. But normally summertime, it's a little dry by this time of year.
Yeah.
You're like, I need something.
Yeah. Well, it's coming.
So a couple little things, Molly, before I let you go. Anything else? I know about the Alicia Silverstone one, but anything else you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
Well, this shoot is taking me up till the end of the year, and then I finished my third feature, sort of a dark rom-com for elder millennials, I guess.
Love that.
That is set in Ireland, but that will be sort of my next focus after
You've been really busy.
Yep, that's how I fend off the existential dread. Got to keep myself busy.
Oh, I should have mentioned Grace and Frankie. That was one of our favorite shows. You did a little work on that too. Yeah. I mean, how could you not like that one? Every single person that showed up on that show was like a legend.
I know. Talk about just kind of being in awe. How did I get this job?
Yeah, that show, and it ran for a long time.
Yeah, I know, 7 seasons.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, so the last thing before I let you go, where can we find you on social media? At
Molly Mary McGlynn on Instagram. And then there's a link in my bio also with where to watch Fitting In, and Mary Goes Round is streaming on Peacock, and just kind of links to.
Yeah, that's where my wife watched it. I know it's been out for 7 or 8 years, but she just watched it. It's been a few months.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And that was it. She was just searching for, sometimes she'll have a little trouble sleeping. So she gets up in the middle of the night and, find something that she can watch that won't be something that we want to watch. So
yeah, for sure.
That was it. Although I told her, I was like, well, I probably would have watched that.
Well, thank her for me.
Molly Mary McGlynn has got to be the most Irish name out there.
I know. My parents really just were on the nose there with that name.
They leaned into it.
Yeah, I know. And here I am in Ireland.
I know. It's pretty great. That's pretty great. All right, Molly, hold on 1 second. Molly McGlynn, she was terrific. I really enjoyed talking to her. She's got a very easy, positive personality. It was a very easy conversation. Enjoyed her answers on stuff. It was just really good. I kind of enjoyed that. And the movie is fitting in, not filling in, fitting in. It kind of struck home to me. We're pretty open on this podcast, which is, I think, part of the reason we've been able to do as well as we have, because we haven't tried to hide anything. We've kind of, Brett's been very open about his struggles with anxiety, ADHD, that type of thing. Sean, who's been on the podcast several times, that's my stepson. He's got Asperger's. His son has Asperger's that we're working through, and it's just something you deal with, and actually, usually those type of difficulties can also lead to some strengths. And I think Molly does a good job highlighting some of that. Those of you that watch the podcast regularly, and thank you for doing that. I came out a couple weeks back. I've been having health trouble of my own that's been going on for about 1.5 years, and I've kind of been talking through it on podcast, but I came out and let everybody know that it was the beginning stages of Parkinson's. So, this, even though there's no real correlation, just that that moment, especially as a teenager, where you're getting life altering information very difficult. And that's the part that kind of struck me, just that, having to get your mind around the new normal and deal with, it's almost like losing somebody, like with a death or maybe a divorce. You're losing something that maybe you didn't even realize that you wanted, and then it's gone. And that's a lot. So I've been dealing with a little bit of that. Not quite the same when you're in your 50s, but that was a diagnosis that at the beginning of the journey I was not expecting. And it just like Molly, it took me, it beat me for a little bit. But I'm better now. I'm working through it. The care I'm getting has been terrific. My symptoms to me seem kind of severe, but I guess are fairly mild. It's fairly new. Hopefully I'll start up on medicine soon. That'll start, helping to control it. But that's part, I'm going to have to figure out something with my notes, because that's part, my handwriting was terrible anyway. But one thing with Parkinson's, your writing tends to get smaller and, a little harder to read, and mine definitely has. So I may have to start typing a little bit. So Molly, we talked through most of the things that I wanted to touch on. I should have mentioned, and I meant to several times during conversation, we just never quite got there, that she has her own podcast. Now, after talking with her, I have no doubt that she's really good at it. It's Hello, My Mom is Dead. So the subject matter is a little heavy at times, but I'm sure it's tinged with Molly's humor. But it kind of looks into that grief and loss. And she mentioned, losing her mother to breast cancer. My mother contracted breast cancer in 1994, and I know the year because that's the year my oldest was born. And so the year started with my mother going through chemo and ended with my daughter being born. And my mom will tell you that she still thinks that's what saved her life, just having that hope of a new kid coming along. So that's kind of cool. But I sympathize with that, because I've went through, my mother's still here. Her health is still good. She's been cancer free now for 30 years. But that's, that ordeal that she went through 30 years ago has never left her. It changed her personality in some ways. It made her, she was always a very, almost like a kind of a daredevil personality, just, a risk taker. And it kind of made her more conservative with that type of stuff. Not necessarily bad or good or anything, just different. But she's still feeling the effects of that. And every year when she has to get those mammograms, she has the same fear, even though they've been clean now for 30 years. So it's just difficult things. Everybody has them. Everybody goes through their own struggles. I love hearing about it when people are able to handle the struggles and come out the other side, and turn it into a positive. So terrific. I'll shut up. I'm talking too much. Let me run through the spiel. Got myself sidetracked. That's not unusual. Molly has also worked as a director on Chad, on Grownish, Keenan, The Wonder Years. I think I hit the rest of them. Animal Control, Bless This Mess. Love that she was on Bless This Mess. We're so close with a lot of that cast, so that meant a lot to me. Our website's meistercon.com. Let me just jump to the end. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find, today I put up episode 833. You can find all of those audio and video versions on our website. So please check us out there at meistercon.com. If we're going on location, if we're doing something in the studio, like watching Fitting In, or if we're covering a convention, anything we have going on, be on the website, meistercon.com. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. It's free. Really helps us out. We use those subscriptions as a kind of a carrot to try to get more of these great guests that we've been able to have on the show. So YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.